New York City, where the world's nations sit side by side.
Within the Democratic Party,
our computers.
Denmark.
In November.
Like the dialects from Boston.
Are you a knock? Sorry?
And Savannah.
I like to go under the speed limit.
The New York City accent is historically non-rhotic, meaning R's often get dropped except before vowels. So newscasters call him Bernie Sanders.
Native-born Southern speakers. The average Southerner tends to sound more like this, what we call this Moonlight Magnolia's drawl, because if you speed up that Southern drawl, over time it rapidly becomes a British accent. Most people don't realize that people that came here from Europe were largely from the United Kingdom. So when they got here, this was more along the lines of their speaking tones. But that's the first and second generations coming off the boats, not their children. By the third and fourth generations, the kids don't quite sound like mum and dad anymore because they're starting to develop a slight elongation of the way they talk. What's today called the Virginia Tidewater accent. It's not a complete Southern drawl because that's a port area. But as you go farther into the southern interior and the years progress, the accent tends to get thicker, deeper, richer. By Arkansas, Alabama, Georgia, heck yeah, you got a full-blown Southern drawl. But people don't realize that in most cases in Louisiana, many of the native speakers don't sound like that. They tend to sound like this, I guarantee, especially around the bayous. Because you speed up that South Louisiana Cajun Creole accent, over time it becomes en français, French, with, of course, certain exceptions in New Orleans.
Did you gals hear about Allie Gallagher? She let Alan Ackerman smack her in the back with his tallywhacker behind the snack shack.
What? Nobody here in Maryland understands a single word you're saying. You should move back to Minnesota.
I can't go back. I Snapchatted Matt Gacarack a Kodak on my ass crack. Did you?
Most Californians, it'll come as a surprise that we speak with an accent, but researchers say it's true.
And what's more, dude, is they're now on the hunt for different accents within California. KCRA3's David Bienig explains how the way we talk says a lot about us.
Why are you home so early?
To hear the actors on Saturday Night Live's recurring skit, The Californians, all 38 million of us are blonde, self-obsessed, and talk like this.
Yeah, I think you should get home now, Devin.
There's nothing going on, Stuart.
And while that may be an exaggeration, linguistics experts say to the rest of the country, we do have an accent.
I think there's certainly some stereotypes floating around about maybe Valley speak that people might associate with California.
So now, researchers from Stanford University are digging deeper, visiting different parts of the state, listening for what makes various regions sound different.
But people from New York can tell that you were not a local.
Yeah. After trips to Shasta, Merced, and Kern counties, the researchers were recently at Sacramento City College, looking for students like Christopher Hooks, who was born and raised here.
Growing up, for some odd reason, a lot of people thought I had a Southern accent.
In fact, researchers say farm workers coming from the South during the Dust Bowl of the 1930s brought their accent with them, so that people in the Central Valley, even today, blur the differences between words such as pen and pin and cot and caught. More recently, the San Francisco and LA habit of saying back like balk has started showing up here in Sacramento.
Based on kind of anecdotal evidence, I do think Sacramento is the most like, for example, the Bay Area of the sites that we've been to.
And from what researchers can tell so far, the differences between accents in California appear to be growing. To be sure, their listening tour will last several more years. In Sacramento, David Bienig, KCRA3 News.
The Stanford researchers will be in Sacramento through the end of